Hey everybody, welcome to class, week 2. Dun, dun, dun.
Boy, that went fast. That's a week.
I know. So blam, blam, bam, wham. Okay. All right. Well, the cool thing about the guided meditations that are available to you as part of the class online is it's around 10 minutes or less. So, yeah, because, I'm a big believer in it's got to be 17 minutes or less, butt down to butt up. Yeah. Assuming you don't fall asleep. And also, everything that you're going to be learning in class, remember, these are tools that you don't have to have a bag to carry to take with you. We're gonna continue to develop those skill sets. But today, let's see here. Anybody have anything they want to share, check in on, or we're all good, happy campers? How we're doing?
No, I checked in to the video and
Yeah.
I had attempted the meditation and stuff, but I really forced myself to sit down and go through and write. And it was good thought provoking. I was stumped on the for a minute, so I had to meditate.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I think she's just selling the class right there.
Uh-huh.
Thought-provoking questions about myself
Yeah.
that I was stumped on, I meditated on, and thus was able to move forward. Yeah, seriously. Like,
Yeah.
we'll get some extra pluses.
Good.
Good.
I'm gonna need.
Do you need those?
Yeah. So, excellent. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. So, anybody else? Is that it for now?
I just like thinking about my color. It made me happy.
Oh, yay!
I like my color.
And that's
I'm not sure where I'm going with it yet, but I just like my
yeah. And that's kind of the point, is knowing that this is yours. This is yours. So what we'll do is we're going to back up because we have one new student today. Yay. So basically, last week we did an overview. 10 key tools to intuitive development and awareness. And like I said, these tools have been curated very carefully by me from, studying various religions and mystery school information and a bunch of healing modalities and all that and then some. So we're trying to take, multiple mountains of knowledge and make it simple and playful and easy to access. And the first thing that we really got into, obviously you guys by showing up, you're doing it. You're giving yourself permission. And here I'm going to have you open this up. So here's your 10 key tools.
Oh, okay.
And so last week we did an overview of those, and then so really you guys were already engaging. Just by showing up, you're doing. And Woody Allen said 90% of success is just showing up. If you can continue to show up, things can happen. You're there for yourself. You're on the stage of life. But we're going to go into the next tools now. We're going to talk about color, though we touched on it last week. And we're also going to talk about ownership or attention to self. So the reason why we use color is it's like this alphabet. It's like this way of taking very complex things, whether they be beliefs, emotions, feelings, more. And we distill them down into a relationship of communicating through color. So each one of you, I asked you last week, hey, what is a color that helps you right now, feels good to you, empowers you? What would that be? And you each came up with a color. And remember, colors are not about what you have been told they are about. These colors are about what is your truth, okay? So for example, maybe you had a red or whatever. Now red doesn't, classically we think of red as stop or love or whatever. Now this is your chance to own it. And that has lots of depth of meaning. least not in this class. And letting yourself set your attention and set your focus by using color. Okay? So, my dear, I want to ask you a quick question. And no thinking about it, just, whatever pops up. What color in this moment is really helpful or empowering or makes you feel good or whatever it is that is right for you?
I think blue for calmness.
Okay, so the blue, what color blue?
Probably the wall.
The wall
Something
that-
soothing.
Okay,
Yeah.
so a sky soft
Yeah,
light blue,
yeah.
fabulous. Now there's a reason why I asked for detail around that because it gets more specific, it creates more ownership. So each of you have your color, right? Yeah, fabulous. So I have got arts and crafts time. Got a box of crayons, and I also have some paint chips. So if you haven't colored, if you don't have a representation of your color, go ahead and open your workbooks. Look at that. So she is on it.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Hey,
A student.
hey, we're gonna teach cut, giggles,
Right,
girl. Question lady.
question.
Yeah, I know, I love it. So, I have a 2 workbook allowance. I'll give you your second one. After that, you'll have to look over.
Yeah, I'll have to bring it back because my house is in boxes and if you give me another one, it might not come back.
Okay,
Well, actually,
so if you,
I don't have access to that.
okay, so anyway, here you go. So, go ahead and pick out, I'm really generous this way. Here's some paint chips, Care of Home Depot. You can pick out a paint chip. Do that right now. Pick out a color and grab a crayon that is closest to your color. And if you're feeling particularly saucy and adventurous, you can start to own your color more by maybe wearing it. Put that paint swatch up in a bathroom or somewhere where you're going to be reminded of it. Maybe you build reminders into your phone, that goes off at 2:13 p.m., whatever, when you need a little hello. So this is about not only using the tools, but it's creating support and integrating the tools in how you play with them, okay? So, and if you're feeling really excited, you can paint a wall.
I have.
This week, Karen?
I have mango orange.
Mango orange, okay, great.
Yeah.
All right, so you guys got your, and you actually have a workbook page.
More than that.
Uh-huh.
So if you guys turn to page 4 in your workbooks, there's actually a page for color.
Yeah.
So you can put your color there. And it's fun to get arts and crafts. You know what I mean? Because again, you're taking a moment to get physical with this stuff. There you go. Okay, good. Paint chips. Good. Okay.
I love it.
Karen? So, everybody can have their color colored in. Okay.
That's a fun exercise.
Everybody's got their bits and pieces. All right. And repopulate the crayons. Finish.
Oh, what am I supposed to do?
Here, just go ahead and color that.
Oh.
So you can kind of check in with yourself about, okay, does this feel like my color or not? Oh, no, it doesn't. I'm just not gonna pay attention to that right now. You know what I mean? So there's lots of things that you can do with this, and we're gonna get into that more in a minute. So, we're gonna do a little quick meditation. And then, and I don't even wanna call it a full meditation. This is the kind of thing that you guys are gonna be using on the fly for yourself, if you want. You're in the middle of a phone conversation or a conference call. You're dealing with taking your car to get it fixed. You're at the grocery store line. I don't care what it is. You're on the toilet peeing. Yeah, and I raise your hand if you pee. Everybody pee? Yeah.
Every 5 minutes.
Okay, you're not sure if you pee?
If I admit,
Okay, well, this is a safe space to admit that it's a human. Yeah, you qualify. So, the great thing about all these examples, being in a line at the store, using the bathroom, being in the middle of something, is you can take just a moment there, close your eyes, or even have them open. Take a breath and say hello to your color. So let's do that now. So everybody go ahead and relax, feet on the floor, hands on your lap if you like, and just take a deep breath. Just and imagine, see, feel, know your color. Now notice in your body, in your space, where that color is epicentered. Where does it emanate from? Someplace in your body. And if you can, go ahead and touch that place or those places. Where is your color emanating from? And if you're not sure, it's okay. You'll get there. And now I'll help you get there. If you were sure, where would it be? Bingo. So if you can't see anything, so by touching that area, it's extremely validating. You're reconnecting to yourself. You're saying hello to you. And you're like, I'm important. This is important. So that little touch, whether it's to the heart or the head, the gut, it doesn't matter. Give it a hello and continue to breathe into your color, letting it expand. So this is simultaneously creating focus on yourself, reconnection to self, and focus on what is important or what helps you. So another big deep breath. And go ahead and open your eyes. So we spent literally just a few minutes on that. And that's something that you could do in those situations that I mentioned on a daily basis. So you don't necessarily have to find that special place where you will be absolutely uninterrupted and, to meditate and no. It doesn't have to be a chore on the to-do list. It can just be something that kind of shows up for you. Like when you notice your breath and you start breathing consciously, you know how it takes care of itself most of the time, right? Well, the eyes may be the windows to the soul, but the breath is the window to the mind. And in addition to using our color. So when you go, okay, oh, I got a moment. Right? And so I want you to take a moment and ask your color, feel your color, smell your color. I mean, you know, if you could, right? What does it feel like? What does it smell like? What does it have to say? Anything. And like, for example, you were like, you know, calm. Like, you already have distinct, specific, you know, feelings about that, right? That's wonderful. What kind of information do you have about your color if you check in with it?
I thought about cheery, without being too bold, warm, inviting, invigorating,
Oh, nice.
or orange.
Yeah, wonderful. And then, how about you? What kind of information does your color have for you?
For me, it's loving and peaceful.
Nice. All right, my ladies on the other side, what you got?
Mine is joyful.
Joyful. Nice. Nice.
Mine's vivid, and yes, it brings joy. And sort of smiles, and it embraces.
Oh, that's wonderful. So, what you're doing now is you're setting energy. You're setting intention, and you're doing energy work. Okay? It's that easy. This is all factory installed stuff. And it literally is. And the trick has been for millennia, you don't have the right, you don't have the permission, you know, you can't do it. Mystery schools were just that. It was a mystery. Only special few got in. And who connected to spirit, the god or the gods? It's either the shaman, the priest, the king.
Intermediary.
It's not you.
No.
You know, it's been a great business model for a long time. But nowadays, we want to do it ourselves. And it's funny, I saw this YouTube video about an Amazonian shaman and in the Amazon, and also in different places around the world. In Africa, there's a Cambodian, and I'm probably saying that wrong. In Amazon, there's something called ayahuasca. There's these different plant medicines that either kick open the door or crack it open, whatever you're comfortable with. And the shaman was saying, it's like, usually I'm the one who drinks the tea. But these Americans, they want to do it themselves. Okay, hope you're ready. And you know, it's okay. It's the time, right? It's the time. So that gets us back into the very first of the 10 key tools, doing and permission. And the more that you let that color focus and check in with it, the more it's going to grow. There was a nice phrase of, there's two wolves. One is light, one is dark. Which one wins? The one that gets fed. And we're all dealing with that, like dark, all the time. And if we didn't have dark, we wouldn't have a picture. Can you draw a picture without negative space? No, you can't. Think about it, when you use a pencil, right? That's creating that negative, right? Yeah. So dark is not necessarily bad. You know, ego gets a bad rap, dark gets a bad rap. All kinds of stuff gets a bad rap. It just is. It's just what you choose to do with it. Right?
Could I ask for a
Yeah.
for a synonym on check in with the color?
Yeah.
So I need a different platform than check in.
Okay.
I mean, I just need to hear it in a different way.
Yeah, that's fine. So when I asked you to close your eyes and notice where that color lives in your body, that's one way of checking in. When I asked you, hey, can you wear this color or put a reminder on your phone to look specifically, see that color and, right, that's checking in. Does that start to help to, okay, good. Are there any other questions right now at the moment?
I've been thinking a lot about darkness lately.
Yeah.
So this is an interesting topic for me. You know, I had an aversion from the dark, and I love the light and the dark one. And life brings me all these opportunities to face the dark. I just got also a part in the show, and I have to play dark, and I thought, how do I relate to, like, so it's interesting you bring it up, because I really have, I know it's annoying, you cannot have light without the dark, but I'm not able to get it, like, completely.
So I'll talk about it a little bit more, but then because it's a big subject. So I'm just gonna do a little.
Throw
Yeah.
a few things at me, it's
So
processing it right now.
dark allows you to explore limitations. And dark allows you to explore not receiving.
Not receiving?
Not receiving. And when you have the dark, when you have a block on receiving, what are you going to do? How do you work with that? How do you work around that? What choices do you make? This is where you discover, oh, I'm creative. Oh, I'm resilient. Oh, I'm sensitive. Oh, you start to fill in the self. You start to have definition of who and what you are. You start to have this knowledge, know thyself, right? That's one of the oldest axioms, right? Know thyself. When you have that dark there, you can start to draw that picture of the self. So what does that self look like, right? And I know this is a silly little picture. But if you have no dark, if you have no blocks to receiving, if you have no limits, then you're the same as oneness. You're the same as source. You're the same as light without differentiation. You're not the rainbow, right? How do you explore the rainbow if you don't break up white light? Does that make sense? And when you start to break up visible light, so visible light is this huge spectrum. This is just part of visible light. When you start to break up visible light, you start to have detailed nuances and understandings. Your emotional range expands. Your knowledge range expands. And how you make those choices, dealing with limits and dealing with the dark, shows you yourself. And then you go, I like this. I'm good at this. I don't like that. I'm not good at this. And then you start to, at some point, believe in yourself. Because this picture isn't a stick figure anymore. It went from 2D to gradiated to 3D. depth. Darkness provides depth. Darkness provides distinction. Because we'd all be the same thing. Not a bad thing, but we'd all be the same thing. And if we're all the same thing, how do we play? Right? So that's a little toe step in. All right. So now let's talk about ownership. So ownership is your third tool on the 10 key intuitive tools list. So exciting. It is. It's very exciting. Yeah. So, ownership is so many different things at once. It's really having this full embracing of yourself. So it involves self-acceptance at one level. And you can have ownership and still not have self-acceptance. But, you know, maybe you got yourself 90% owned, right? And what is U.S. law say? So if there's a dispute on ownership, say there's a fence, one farmer says to the other, "That's mine, buddy." How does the court deal with determining ownership? Possession is 9/10 of the law. Possession is 9/10 of the law. So if there are parts of you, parts of your body, parts of who you are, light and dark, that you're not possessing, you're not completely there for yourself. You're not saying, "I accept you." You're not. You're vulnerable, right? Because you haven't owned right here, or you haven't owned right there, or you haven't owned right there. Those are points of vulnerability, which is another adventure for learning, right?
Right. And it's not all bad.
No, it's not all bad. But it's interesting when you have a bully interaction. You know, it doesn't have to be the playground if bullies ended at school. Not. So one of the fun things about bullies is they can see in your eyes, oh, you don't have self-acceptance. Now, I'm not saying that the bully has self-acceptance.
Right.
And if there's a part of your body that's always getting hurt, or a side of your body that's always getting hurt, might not be some ownership there. You know, there's all kinds of interesting beliefs that live not just in our heads. They get communicated into our bodies. You know, for example, let's talk about the pancreas. So Americans have an obsession with not receiving. That's why we've got so much shit in our closets. Because we have receiving problems. Our waistlines are here, our closets are here.
What does it really have to do with receiving?
If you can really receive, then you get what you need and makes you happy and you're satisfied. You're not searching. Right? Yeah. It's a great hobby. I mean, you know, I have fully participated in it myself. Yeah, shop therapy. I mean, honestly, we live better than sultans have and kings have for most of our lives, yeah. There's a few exceptions, but not too many. So, ownership is a way of saying, I embrace all of me, the known and the unknown, the dark and the light. It's mine. And one of the things that I teach is that you know, depending on kind of your path in life, for example, in self-development, there's this concept of acknowledging the victim. And like, for example, if you go to Alcoholics Anonymous, they always have hi, my name is so-and-so and I'm an alcoholic. It doesn't matter if they stopped drinking 20 years ago. They're still a victim. And that's fine if that community and that identity works. It's all good. And then there's another side, some types of meditation or some types of personal development that takes the observer. I'm going to observe you and give you awareness that way. So I'm either in the middle of it and it's happening to me, or I'm observing it and watching it, you know, like a movie. Now, not everybody fits into those two categories, right? The ones that don't fit into those categories, who seem to just like have resilience, roll with the punches, they're owning their day because they are owning themselves. And I'm not saying that they own themselves 100%, but they are certainly owning themselves and their lives enough, right? You don't need 100% permission to go get a hot dog. You just need enough, right? You just need enough to show up. And where you don't have enough ownership, where you don't have enough permission, you have things like, you know, self-destructive behaviors, depression, I could go on and on and on. And there's other ways it shows up. You know, I'll own through you. You know, we've all seen moms or been moms. You know, I can't own it for myself, but I'll own it through you. I'm getting creative, right? So I want you to really play with this concept of you are this wealth. You are this home, you are this library, and I know the term temple comes up about, you know, your body. I have mixed feelings about the word temple because, you know, it makes it seem like it has to be perfect for your spirit to show up. And then that's BS. That's total BS. And, you know, another thing that I think is BS is that, you know, higher self and you're just, you know, this flesh and, you know, body. And there's a lot of, certainly the monotheistic religions and other religions and philosophies that see the physical is something a lower, right? No. No, you are all that and a bag of chips. At the end of the day, you call the shots. Okay? At the end of the day, you call the shots.
About
Anything and everything. Because your spirit is trying to learn. And, okay, when you start to do things in energy, it's instantaneous. And it's a little freaky deaky. There's no like, well, let me think about this. No, it's blam. Which can be a little terrifying. And inspiring and everything else, right? When you're in physical, now it's like you're moving through Jello. You know, you have time and you have space, right? You have that opportunity to practice and learn and kind of make up your mind about things and feel things out, right? And how does that feel and smell and what emotion, like you know, this is a place to play it out. So I think that's pretty powerful. So things that our soul is either wanting to learn and or needing to learn. Here's the sandbox. Here's the school ground, whatever you want to call it. The source is not in a hurry. I mean, I subscribe to pastimes and all that stuff. But ownership is critical. Well, I should say source is not in a hurry for most. Like, oh God, get your shit together.
exception to
Yeah,
that.
well, I don't know, I'm sure there's others. But, ownership is what you have. The story that you, as the physical is less than, that your spirit is perfect and has got it all figured out perfectly and da-da-da-da, your spirit is learning and you are the partner. You are the partner. So those limits, sometimes the darkness that I was talking about sometimes, which is just part of the process, for some people it can be too much, right? When I'm talking about like the anxiety or the depression. You know, if somebody commits suicide, you're fighting against trillions of cells in your body that are crying out, we're here for you. All we want to do is be here for you and live and work together. And whatever that is overriding all of that. Because most people who go that path, they don't want to die, they just want the pain to stop, right? So, you are this magical child of your soul. But you are also this magical partner. Okay? And find your power, find your ownership, find your maturity, find your adultness to have that relationship and tap into it. And I know some of the things I'm saying right now is not exactly standard who to call. But you're in this class, so there's somewhere where you wanted to get a hello on this. And I'm not saying that you need to say, oh, well, that must be the truth. It's just a hello. Something to noodle on. See what you take and see what you don't. And it's all good, right? It's all good. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, is you owning information in the world for yourself in the way that makes sense for you. We have an incredible amount of choice now that we haven't had ever, right? But we have, so it's powerful. So this is my little adage on ownership, which creates a very profound attention to self. It's like being full of yourself, but in a good way, you know? And, you know, people who feel like they're comfortable in their own skin, they kind of like, yeah, here I am. Like there's nothing, you know, those are people who are exhibiting forms of ownership, okay? You know, illness can be a way to give you an ownership gift or lesson. You know what I mean? So there's all kinds of things that you can play with there. And by using these tools, you're saying hello to ownership without, you know, getting sick or whatever, you know, some of the, and I'm not saying that's the only tool to force ownership, but it's one of many. There's positives, there's, you know, in the middles, and there's negative ones, you know, we put them in those buckets, you can do that.
Can you give an example of taking ownership? Because I think we've been talking about a lot, but what's the practicality of applying that in daily life?
The practicality of having more ownership of all of who you are in daily life is you're gonna walk through life a hell of a lot more confident, for one thing. And not from bravado. There's a lot of false confidence. And it's understandable. Some people need to fake it till they make it, right?
Yeah, no, I mean.
Or they say, I'm a white male. Or whatever it is that they're using for ownership. By having more personal ownership, you have more personal certainty. When you have more personal certainty, you have more decision-making power, right? You know you're there for yourself. You have your own back.
Yeah, I'm trying to ask, what are examples of taking ownership on daily life? What's the,
Okay, for example, how are you caring for your own body? That is the kind of like a super fundamental level of ownership. And you can look at it, you know, to give a perspective, I know you're gonna understand, you can look at it as moving through the chakras. Think about first chakra stuff. Are you safe? Are you cared for? Are you able to produce and, you know, money and all of those things? That's a form of ownership. We're gonna move up through the chakra system. So everybody heard of chakras? Okay,
I've heard it, I can't say I really know.
no worries. Just think of them as, it's from the Hindu tradition, and it's a way of saying that how you connect to different aspects of yourself is like energy centers in the body that correspond with the endocrine system. And it's also kind of like your own internal rainbow. And at a base level, are you safe? Are you healthy? Are you doing everything that you can do to care for yourself? That's one form of ownership. Another form of ownership is, are you listening to how you really feel? Women, traditionally, how you really felt about something was not okay. That was bad. So, are you listening to how you really feel? It's like, maybe you feel something that doesn't seem, you know, appropriate. I don't like her. It's okay. Feel that. And then going on,
so
you know.
you're saying the ownership is awareness? And I'm hearing the example sounds like awareness to me. So I'm trying to understand.
All of it is, I'm taking awareness and I'm deconstructing it.
Okay.
Because if you say awareness to most people, they're like, If you say love to a lot of people, they're like, There's a lot of things about everything is love. You should have awareness, blah, blah, blah. And we're like, what the hell does... I'm literally broken it into its anatomy. I've taken the atom and split it.
It's super interesting. You started talking and I started seeing like your aura around you, like the whole thing.
Awesome.
This is really cool.
Awesome.
Even like with color and stuff.
So, by using, you know, your intuitive, like using your, basically you're just using your third eye. You know what I mean? Or what's called your third eye, right? You're seeing energy, right? That's there, all around us, everywhere. And it's funny, you start to, anyway, that's a whole other talk. But we're taking awareness and we've split the atom up. What are all these components? And so by understanding the components, yes, of course we're talking about awareness, so you're absolutely right.
So ownership is maybe I'm just, it's English or, you know, maybe the word I'm having a hard time relating to or translating to practicality, but is it just the I am this and I am that and I am not this and I am not that? What is ownership? And maybe everybody else understands,
Okay.
but I'm not.
I am can be considered part of ownership. But ownership is an ongoing, you're constantly choosing. As you move through your day, you're constantly choosing. You have to make 30-something thousand unconscious choices a day. You have about 70 to 100 conscious choices, like you're like, okay? So you want to be able to constantly move through choices. Because that's what we have nowadays, right? And by having ownership, one, you have the right to decide. Two, you start to tap into what works for me, et cetera, et cetera. So, I am is getting to that, like, full ownership of self, or this full concept of self, a full realization or enlightenment. There's a lot of different labels that go in with the I am concept. And for those who are not familiar, the I am, that's from the Saint Germain, Mount Shasta, and that comes from this concept of you reach enlightenment through resolving what is your conflict with love. What is your limit? What is your block against receiving love? And so for now, I want to continue on, but you asked for particular, specific action items daily, and doing things like caring for yourself in the physical, understanding, tapping into what do you feel and being aware of that, and listening to yourself, listening to your own truth. What is your identity that you're using to work through the world? Does that identity, as you currently have it, work for you or not? You know, people talk about the heart as love. Well, I look at the heart as a level of awareness, because for me, the whole thing is aspects of love. It's like, you know, we white light, we shattered love into all its components, right? In my opinion. So, are you using your imagination? There's so many things that you can be owning in a daily life, okay? All right, so any other questions? Okay, how we doing? Okay, we're gonna start to wrap up. All right, so we're gonna do a quick hello on ownership, okay? So, if you want, eyes open, eyes closed, be relaxed. Breathe. Big deep breath. And we're going to say hello to your friendly tool of color. This time, you're going to ask yourself, what color represents ownership for you? You can pretend to see it, you can see it in your mind's eye, you can feel it, you can know it, whatever. Say hello to your ownership, and notice, where does ownership in your body emanate from? If you can, touch that place. By touching, you acknowledge you validate. And let yourself breathe into that color. Growing it, expanding it. Owning your ownership. And give yourself permission, if you want, to let it expand and grow. Or acknowledge it where it's at, if that is what works for you. It's all good. Another big deep breath. Now go ahead, when you're ready, open your eyes. And here we are. Yay! So, what did you notice about your ownership color?
Well, first of all, it was gray,
Okay?
like darker gray.
Okay. And do you notice where
I
it,
felt it here, around my head, and on the side of my head.
good job. What did you notice about your ownership color?
It came out kind of green, like that matting around that picture.
Awesome.
A heavier color.
Okay. And where did you notice in your body?
I kind of felt it from here up.
Okay, sweet. Lovely.
Like a bright blue, electric blue, which the word that came to mind was strength, power. And it comes, from the gut, I think,
Awesome. Awesome. All right, giggles. I'm sorry, but
It was white, turning sort of pink. It was
Yeah.
sort of a shaft of light that came this way.
cool. Very cool.
Yeah, it morphed a little.
Okay, fabulous. High five.
Thanks.
Yeah. What'd you
Mine
notice?
was red. I don't know if I was just imagining red because I think of red as a strong color too. So I thought strong and love of self and, yeah.
And, so don't get into the middle management game.
That's what I'm thinking about.
That's middle management. That's not CEO.
Yes.
Ownership is you are CEO of your space. Okay? You know how crazy CEOs can be. But they make decisions, don't they? They have vision.
Yeah, they got a lot of that.
You get rewarded for ownership.
Uh-huh.
Literally. If you don't have ownership in life, eventually what happens? You're on the street. You're not getting rewarded. Okay? So, we need to do some little high five action over here. Boop, boop, boop. All right, ladies, your homework. Because we didn't get time to it today. Please do page number 5. Now, this is your so, you're doing your favorite things because what are we doing?
Paying attention.
Yeah. Because it's really easy to be thinking about, oh, well, so-and-so, or this project, or blah, 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 blah. And then we forget about this stuff. Right? So, please do your ownership page if you want. I mean, your favorite things worksheet if you want. You can put in a lot of detail or just a few words. It's all good. But it does get you saying hello to yourself. Ownership. Here's another example of, yes. So this is a practice in ownership that's specific.
Specific.
Yeah. All right, so, next week, same time, same back channel. And, so I'll have you on the email now, and then you've subscribed, sweet. And did everybody get the email? You got the email? You got the email?
I think so. I had my email blocked for a few days, so.
Okay, okay. And then you guys got the email, okay, so, yes, there should have been 2. The recap, and then, the gratitude.
I was worried that was just special.
You are. You are special. You know it. That's why you keep cracking jokes, because you're like, I'm special. Yeah. Yeah, so it's perfect. So everybody, we're gonna practice, okay, whether you saw the gratitude video or not, the selfish benefits of gratitude. So let's practice that right now. I'm gonna ask you all to give me some happy claps and some hoop and yoop and work it up, yeah, come on, come on! So each one of you got the smile, each one of you got to shout, each one of you got to clap, and you got all those neurotransmitters, all those serotonin, endorphins, and dopamine, and all of that, woohoo. So be a cheerleader every chance you can get, whether it's for you or somebody else, because you both get some really good selfish benefits. Okay? All right, everybody, have a great night. Yay!
Thank you. A lot of new ideas.
I know.
Think about, spend a lot of time thinking about.
Yeah, I got
Yes.
I got a.
Yeah, well, I'll give you lots to doodle in this class, that is for sure.
You're not playing Ursula, are you?
No, so it's, everybody gets got an element, you know, fire and wood and water and light, and they got dark. And it's surprising, it's too bad, actually, it's the best area, and I guess she's not attending.
Did you make
the
it?
show.
Awesome.
So I